Hello everyone, my name is GamePenguin21 and today we're going to be doing another episode of Versus. This is where I take two Rainbow Six Siege operators, put them up against each other, and see which one is better in my own personal opinion. I'm going to be giving you all the facts, details of their loadouts, their speeds, and their gadgets, breaking them all down and giving you some tips and tricks for new players on how to be best at these operators. But today I'm going to be doing a battle royale between three special operators, all on defense. That is going to be Mute, Bandit, and Vigil. Let's get into the video. So, as I stated before, these three operators are very much kind of drone prevention operators and do a bunch of different jobs in the very similar vein of things. This is where I compare the three jobs of them and see which one is the best one. I'm trying to do this as neutral as possible, giving the best opinion for one that's more of a startup character. And with that being said, I'm going to be giving out three different awards with the bronze, silver, and gold for this specific video because there are three operators. So then, without further ado, let's get into it. Starting off with Mute. Mute is a medium armor, medium speed operator. He's 2 speed, 2 armor. He is not as fast as a light armored operator, but he can take more bullets than a light armored operator, or less bullets than a heavy armor, of course. For his primary weapons, you have the 5.1A1 shotgun. This is a pump action shotgun that can have all the standard attachments that a pump action can have. No grip attachments, but it can have a laser sight as well as a optic. The 5.9 is a pump action shotgun. This means that it has more damage against the actual environment than anything else. This thing mainly shoots buckshot, and it's very easily and has a very good high damage. It's very punchy as well. For the second primary weapon, we have the ep5, which is an SMG, which can have a barrel, laser, and optic attachments. All three of these attachments can be interchangeable and whatever, and check the individual ones for it. You cannot put any grips on it because it already has coming in with a grip. It has very moderate damage. Some might say it's a little bit underpowered, but this thing is very good and has very manageable recoil for a lot of, and I personally kind of like it. For a secondary weapon, you have the 226 MK25 pistol. This is the standard pistol for everyone in the CTU. And can be equipped with barrel attachments and a laser sight. Not too much to really be said about this pistol. It's very nice all around. For his generic gadget, which is not his main gadget, we would have a nitrocell as well as a deployable shield. And for this operator, I'm going to have to give the edge to the nitrocell just because of not many operators have the nitrocell, and it's a very moderate, decent explosive. Though you bear in mind, you do only get one nitrocell. For Bandit, he is a light armored, fast speed operator. That means that he can take very little bullets, but he is extremely fast. He can really book it to one side of the objective. For his primary, you have the MP7 SMG, which is a fairly solid SMG with barrel, with everything except grip attachments, pretty much. He then has his shotgun, which is the M870, a very solid pump-action shotgun. Yet again, no grip attachments, but he can have a laser and an optic. It is a very solid gun that has extremely high damage, and again, being a pump-action shotgun, it does a bit more damage to the environment than a semi-auto shotgun. For his secondary weapon, he has the P12 pistol, which is a fairly standard pistol for everyone in his CTU. It's okay in damage, and it does fairly decently against most operators. Again, with the recent recoil thing, it's very useful now with the laser beam accuracy that it can more or less have. It can be equipped with a laser underbarrel attachment as well as a barrel attachment. For his generic gadget, you have the barbed wire and the nitrocell, and this one's a bit more of a toss-up due to his gadget. I would have to probably say that barbed wire in this case is extremely important for Bandit, just because of the gadget and the way that it works. But again, the nitrocell is a good alternative, so it's really more down to a personal opinion. But personally, I would say, for me, that it would have to go with the barbed wire. Finally, we have, for the operator loadout breakdown, is Vigil. We use another light armor and a fast speed operator. Again, being that he is very fast, he's more of a roaming operator than the other two, and he is very solid in that category with his other stuff. For his gun, for his primary weapon, you have the BOSG 12.2 shotgun. This is a very special shotgun in his CTU. This can have grip attachments, as well as laser sight, laser, whatever, and an optic. This gun is very special because it shoots slug rounds. Now, this is very different from the previous two shotguns, where they shoot buckshot. The slug round is a single shot projectile with 120 damage over a long distance. Basically, think of Glaz's sniper rifle, or like any sniper rifle in WoW, but with a lot less damage, and more of over like it can down most operators with body shots. It's a fairly good shotgun, but it comes at a cost. You have only 2 shots in sort of a up and down, top bottom barrel style that you have to be very accurate in order to hit. You do not have the same thing as buckshot. It does do a lot of damage, but it's a high risk, high reward endeavor. Unlike his second primary, which is the K1A, which is a fairly solid SMG. It's more of a compact assault rifle, similar to Jaeger's compact assault rifle. Very high, very modest damage in the category, coming with grip attachments, laser attachments, barrel attachments, and optics. For his secondary weapon, for his secondary weapons, both of them are automatic machine pistols. Starting off with the C75 Auto, this one can have basically just barrel attachments, no underbarrel attachments, because it comes with an integrated foregrip. It's more of like an upside down modified foregrip with like an extra magazine or whatever. He doesn't take it out or anything. It just looks cosmetic, and it's supposed to help with the recoil control. It's a fairly decent pistol, all in all. It's again a machine pistol, so it does not have single fire mode, at least not to my knowledge, I think, and it's very decent in the way that it works. His second secondary is the SMG-12. This one has a bit more customization, but is still, again, a fairly solid SMG with a little bit more recoil. For this, you can have a grip, laser sight, and an optic. No barrel attachments, unfortunately. But it's a fairly solid gun, all in all. And again, it has a similar thing where you can put like a camo and like a little emblem, whatever, on it if you really wanted to. But again, that's more cosmetic than anything else. With all that being said, his generic gadget is the barbed wire and the impact nade. For this one, it's kind of a toss-up, but I would personally have to go with the impact nade, as it kind of acts, as you get 2 of them, and it kind of acts similar and makes them be able to move around the map a bit more effectively, being able to take out unreinforced floors and walls and whatever, and being able to move around the map a bit more effectively, because again, he is a roamer. So then, with all that said, let's get quickly into their gadgets, starting off again with Mute. Mute's gadget is his Mute Jammers. I don't remember the specific name of them. These jammers jam anything remotely or electronically remotely controlled, I should say. Bear in mind, this is a fairly specific list of things that kind of work. With Mute, he can jam anything that's electronically done to him. This includes the following. He can jam any drone, thermites and Hiban's charges on reinforced walls, as well as any breaching charges placed along those walls as well. He can also jam incoming calls from Dokebi, as well as, which is fairly unlikely to happen, but he can jam Blitz's shield, as well as Jackal's hunting goggles, when activated, of course. All of this can be jammed, but there's a variation on each of the jamming types. For Blitz and Jackal, they have to be standing within the radius of the jammer. And again, you'll be able to tell by the sound of the jamming frequency, as well as minor distortions in the drones and in some of those other ones. It is, however, very difficult to spot them when looking at from the other side of a thing. So again, Hiban is mostly at fault here, because once she hits, her things are stuck to the wall, you have to actually take out the jammer before you can take them and blow them up, or until they're destroyed. They can't actually be detonated. It's interesting to note that Hiban's charges can be detonated individually. I covered this more in the Hiban versus Thermite video I made a while back, but Well, that being said, I think I've covered basically everything about his gadget. It's all in all can be placed anywhere within any flat surface, and so long as it's within the red ring of the circle, that's how it can be jammed. It was increased, and it can cover around 2 reinforced walls if placed very directly in the center. Bandit. His special ability is the Bandit charge. His battery is basically can be attached to anything metal. That includes reinforced walls. Includes reinforced walls, barbed wire, as well as the shields, the deployable shields that the enemies can have. This, in turn, can damage enemies, as well as destroy anything on the other side of that reinforced wall, and can destroy anything electronic with a very simple hit. It is, however, interesting to note that it destroys anything electronic, including friendlies. I'm not sure if it's viable to destroy Echo's drone, however, but do not quote me on that, if it is or if it is not. I would say it is, but I'm not sure. Anyway, with Echo's, with his battery, it can be attached to any metal surface, which is why I said it's a kind of a toss-up between the nitrocell and the barbed wire, because the barbed wire works directly with his gadget, and you actually get 3 barbed wire instead of the normal 2. With that being said, it can be attached to anything metal, including reinforced walls, as I said before, it brings up an interesting tactic called bandit tricking. Bandit tricking is basically where you have the bandit walk up to a wall that's about to be hit by a thermite, and as it's detonating, he's able to place if he's able to place down the battery and have it go off as the electrical charges before the thing blows up, it will destroy it immediately. Again, it is interesting to note that because more often than not, you'll be able to know if something is bandited or not because of the fact that it has the blue electricity that kind of pulsates out from the thing that's actually there. This will damage people, again, even if they walk right up against the wall or walk through the barbed wire or over the shield. Again, this will damage everyone in that sense, which makes him good to work with people like a few other things. But again, he works well with other operators who are sort of trap-like operators. Mainly Frost, as I was trying to say before. Finally, moving on to... and this is going to be taking forever. Finally, moving on to Vigil. He is, again... finally moving on to Vigil. His gadget is very specific. His gadget is a jammer located on his back. This will make him unable to be seen by drones or infiltrated cameras, meaning that he will be completely invisible to those cameras. However, he can be seen. However, you do know that that Vigil is there by the fact that there's like a little wavy lines around the edge of it, it's like little white lines that are around the edge of the screen of the drone or the hacked camera. The hacked cameras only can be seen. The hacked cameras cannot see Vigil, but any friendly can see Vigil. Any person using the camera who's hacked, aka like any attacker, will not be able to see him. Vigil is very interesting in that respect, and that's all he can really do. It's very interesting to note this because I recently learned about a special little thing, but that's regardless of the point. That's basically his gadget, pretty much. Anyway, a few tips. I would have to say that Mute's probably a very good operator for like an anchoring role. He mainly you should try to play him on the objective if you can. He does work well in roaming as well, being a 2-speed operator. But again, I'd more or less put him in that sort of anchory role, but he might have a foot in both fields. Bandit and Vigil are very... Bandit can be, again, more of a anchor role, but that's not really how people play him, because again, he's a 1-armor operator, so he should be roaming, as some people would say, but again, I wouldn't be a thing on that. Vigil, again, is really strictly a roaming operator, except in very specific circumstances. So, with all that being said, let's get into my personal opinion on which one of these 3 operators deserves the gold medal. Let's start off with bronze. So, in bronze place, we have Vigil. Personally, this is again my personal opinion. A lot of people like Vigil. Vigil is a very good operator in the right hands. I, however, am not the right hands. Vigil is a very roam-heavy operator, being that he can actually go ahead and use a lot of the stuff that he can, and a very good Vigil cannot be seen a lot by the enemy team. So long as Vigil knows what he's doing, and again is very good at roaming, he can definitely dominate the field. But again, I'd say that you need to learn his curve very effectively. For Silver, we're going to put Bandit in this spot for the sheer reason that Bandit's gadget is a bit more effective than Vigil's at keeping drones and keeping all the electronics out. However, it's kind of limited in the sense that Mute's jammers work very well. And of course, Mute gets the gold. Now, why did I put Mute at the top? Well, his gadget is just a little bit better than Bandit's. It's by a pretty decent margin at 2, because since Mute can actually benefit a lot and directly counter certain operators, Dokebi, Blitz, Bana really well. All of these operators together are very hard to counter, and you have to really kind of work around this Mute and try to see if you can get all these things to really happen. Again, it's very hard to work around Mute with, especially people like Hiban and Therm, because their stuff actually kind of works around it. And again, with Dokebi, you need to actually be standing on the Mute jammer as she's calling to actually not have her call you. But with Bandit, he cannot do that. And since Bandit can do the Bandit trick, that I did throw that into the equation, but I would just have to say that in my personal opinion, Mute jammers are just far and away a lot more effective in multiple different scenarios, and it's a lot easier to pick up on what he's doing with Mute than with Bandit, because Bandit you have to learn the specific timing, you have to get a certain thing going, and he can only work in so many scenarios, whereas Mute can work in a bunch more scenarios than Bandit. So in my personal opinion, out of the 3 operators, Mute gets the gold. But that's just my personal opinion. I want to hear your personal opinions and who you think should have actually won this down in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching, and a peace off.
Wizard, what do you see as you twist your tiles beneath our feet?